morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to, sorry, I have a little gravel in my voice, Season 4 and episode number 472 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Cryo Media Network. Yeah.
Crier Media.
Was waiting for it. All right. Today, recording day is Wednesday, September 18th, 2024. And I'm not quite sure what kind of day it's going to be at the Beaver Lodge. I expect it's going to be nice. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver. Pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver A. And with me, as always, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. A big thank you goes to our podcast's founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. Gonna have a bit of a mixed bag for you today, kits and cubs, not one particular theme. But before we continue, Mr. Grizzly, how's your mental health today, sir?
Well, sir, jury's out. The last couple of days have been rough on me, honestly. Monday was a bad day. Yesterday was marginally better. I was able to get a little bit of energy into my system and get a couple of things done, but I'm running behind in production stuff. I just got another contract for another book I have to narrate, so I have to start getting my what do they call? Just a second. There's a specific word for it. Checkpoint audio sample. I have to get those in. I have 3 of them. I have to get in by the 30th. So I'm going to be working on those today because I want to get them in and get them done so I can get ahead of things. And I have had a pseudo interview yesterday, which I thought was scheduled for Monday. It was actually scheduled for Tuesday.
Oh,
So you saw me picking up the phone at the end of the
right.
thing yesterday. That's why. Pseudo interview. And then last night I bumped into a colleague who I hadn't seen in a few months. And she was like, "Oh my God, where have you been? What's going on? We're losing it at work and blah, blah." I'm like, well, it's just, contract ended. I didn't get rehired. And now I'm unemployed. She goes, "Okay, we got to change this. I'm going to reach out to this person, this person, this person, and this person and see if we can get you hired. Get you in, get you hired, get you working for either this, contractor or direct, but we're losing it without you." I'm like, "Oh, it's nice to hear." And she goes, "No, I'm not telling you this to make you feel better. I'm telling you this because it's true." I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm hopeful then, see what happens." There's a lot of pokers in the fire right now. So there's lots of opportunity. So that does help improve my mental health.
Yeah.
That chance encounter last night while walking Lola it was wonderful to see a friend and a colleague and talk about how maybe things will be turning around soon for me.
Yeah, well, we had mentioned that at the time when that part of the contract ended, saying, let's see what happens in a couple of months and maybe knock on the door and say, miss me yet?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're very, 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 very good at what you do. So,
Thanks.
seriously, um, uh, those are not. Like I was in comms. Those are not easy meetings, and like the higher the level and the more the security and all that kind of stuff, and again, bigger the number of players, and yeah, these things are not obvious. So
No,
yeah,
exactly.
it
It doesn't
requires.
happen
It
quick.
doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
It's like you couldn't put me in that situation like this with a 15-minute tutorial and say make it happen. Let's put it that way. Well, I am glad. I am very, very glad. That's lots of good news, and whether something materializes from all of them or not, that type of stuff. It's movement, and movement is good.
Exactly.
Because it's stagnating or feeling that nothing's happening. That sometimes drives people a little batty. So movement is good. I'm glad for you, and I'm glad you got that other contract. Congratulations, well done.
Well, and so I've got one that is on instructional English, one that is on nutrition, rest, recovery, exercise. This one is a nonfiction, semi-autobiographical book about a young man teaching his son coaching baseball. So I started to read it, and I'm like, "Ooh, I'm interested in this," because I'm only going to lend my voice to things that interest or pique my interest, or I find fascinating, or challenging, or like I'm not just going to narrate anything. Yes, I have a price. However, I also have integrity and principles. And I'm not going to do it just to get paid. I have to believe in it, and I like what I've read about this book so far. So once it becomes available, I'll be promoting all of it here, of course, and on my ASMR channel, because after all, the more they sell, the more I earn.
Yep, absolutely. All right, kits and cubs. Let's start with what we have on the episode description. Yesterday, there was let me put it. You know what? Let's not start right there.
No?
No. Well, we will start there, but we will get there because there's something that happened before I remember. Okay, there have been some videos going around, and I think we showed one on the show of Andrew Scheer meeting with convoyers before they arrived in Ottawa. And then yesterday, Luc Lebrun had posted something early in the day about one of the usual suspects in the CPC, Mr. Howdy Doody on speed himself, Michael Cooper. And Michael Cooper seems that he was at an event or a party the previous night with what Mr. Lebrun of Press Progress, and just for those who are new to us, Luc Lebrun is the editor of Press Progress. Describes as a convoy spin-off group that has been mobbing MPs and disrupting Terry Fox ceremonies.
Yes.
So it says in here the two guys in the altercation that we are going to see. I don't know if I would call it an altercation, a confrontation.
Yes.
More than an altercation, because to me, altercation seems to immediately involve hands-on bodies.
It was a confrontation. I think it was the wrong choice of word.
It was a verbal confrontation
one.
here.
Yes.
Yeah. But there are two people in the verbal confrontation, and they are alleged to have been in attendance at this same party. So I want to show the clip from the party, and then, as we mentioned, this mentions Terry Fox. So then I'll show a little bit how Terry Fox sort of comes into this, and then we'll get to where it all arrived at a head with one of the leaders of our federal parties.
And yeah, I'll comment on that shortly. Let's have a look at this video first, shall we?
We have a conservative in the House. We have a conservative in the House. We have a conservative in the house. Wow. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Wow.
Didn't seem too
That's
happy
on
to be
my
caught on video.
live.
No.
Oh,
Okay, so Michael Cooper is hanging out there in his suit, looking out of place. Looking out of place, but seemingly quite well at home. Didn't seem too happy when she was asking him to basically, inviting him pretty much to make some type of statement that he was proud to be here. Some kind. So, yeah, Kitland, he stands so weird. He does indeed. Now,
I think this is a man with heavy-duty anxiety issues. To be honest with you,
he might be. Yes,
I think he has severe anxiety. The way I see him comport himself, the way he walks, the way he talks, as somebody who has anxiety, that's what I see. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it is. And I might be leaning into this a little bit, but I think he's on the spectrum. I think he may be Asperger's.
Well, I have no idea.
I get the vibe.
Yeah.
Let's just say I have a lot of experience working with people of that nature. So,
okay. Let's go to the next one. And this is what
confrontation.
Exactly. No, not the confrontation yet.
That's the one you sent me.
Shouldn't be. That should be at
confrontation is the one you sent me.
Okay, it's not even on my screen to send you.
Well,
that's why I'm wondering how this.
Anyway, I've got another one here, so I can look at this. Just give me a sec here while I get this queued up. It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I've got it. I'm on the job, man. I know what I'm doing. I'm the producer. Don't worry. I got you taken care of, bro. This is.
it should be interesting.
Liar! Liar! Liar!
Traitors!
Liar!
Traitors! 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 Traitors!
It's the Terry Fox event.
I really don't care what it is.
Of course you don't care.
care
You're
what
a
it
selfish
is.
bitch.
What are you guys
Whoa.
With a whole bunch of traitors? That Terry Fox shouldn't even be there. It should be where it was before. Why you guys moved it, I don't understand. It's all corruption. All government corruption. All government corruption.
Okay, statue being moved has nothing to do with corruption. And are we talking about the same Terry Fox that all of you lost your minds about when he didn't show up in the passport?
Yeah.
But now you're showing up at an event for the Terry Fox run, and before you even know what's being said on out, you're yelling liars and traitor and Trudeau, and it's like, this has nothing to do with the Prime Minister. It's the Terry Fox run. It's charity to raise money for cancer.
Yeah.
Research.
Like I said, selfish, self-centered individuals.
But see, anybody in the community who has been touched by cancer, like, if this bothers you somewhere here in your solar plexus, that's the exact same feeling I get when our pride parades get taken over by another issue.
Yeah.
Terry Fox run again, one day a year. Now today, that wasn't the day of the run, of course, but it was an event. In furtherance of, in support of the run.
Oh.
And then, part 3.
Corrupted bastard. Want to say something? What? Want to say something? You say nothing? What does it mean? That? You got something to say?
I didn't say corrupted bastard, but I
Is
said...
that what you said?
No, I did not say
Who said
that.
it? Who said it?
Somebody behind me said that.
Was it me? Was it you? No. You sure? If it was me, I'd admit it, buddy. Was it you or not? If it was me, I'd admit it. What'd you say then?
Coward.
I didn't say nothing. It wasn't me. It was a gentleman behind me, I guess.
Who is it then? Point it
I
out.
have no idea who it was, buddy. My word, you sure it's not you? No, 100%. You're a coward. You're not gonna say it to my face. That's what's up. Say what? If I said something like that to you, I'd admit it. All right.
Now,
But you did and you're not.
If confidence will
Coward. Coward. Coward.
And of course, like, notice already, he's filming him, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, I'm just searching for something on my phone. Couldn't have been me. I was searching for something on my phone the whole time.
These are all cowards. I'm telling you, you confront these bullies, they back down. They're cowards.
Well, I mean, now, there were 2 security officers close by. Number
That
one.
was a given, sure.
Yeah, but, there's some people are criticizing them for not having intervened yet. At that point, these are choices,
Mhm.
right? But I mean, Jagmeet Singh is a grown man, and if he decides he wants to confront someone who just randomly calls him, who's following him with a camera, and then randomly calls him corrupted bastard, and who knows what happened before
Mhm.
that part of the segment that got aired.
Yes,
So
and
that's
to
number
answer
one.
your question,
And
he is a
number
martial
2,
artist.
it's exactly where I was going, Kit Dan. Let's also not forget that, right, when you say, check your privilege and your luxury and all that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
when you talk about that, well, in this particular case, right, first of all, there are 2 officers nearby
Yes.
who are armed. That's number 1. But number 2, Mr. Singh is not, and this is kind of a bad expression to use when we're talking about this particular martial art because it's strictly defensive, but it's not like Mr. Singh here is showing up to a gunfight with a knife.
Mhm.
Mr. Singh, for many, many, many years, has been a practitioner of jiu-jitsu,
Mhm.
which is a defensive
Correct.
martial art. Because, and there's an article in 2019, Canadian politician explains how jiu-jitsu helped him get over bullying. So, Jagmeet Singh is a Canadian politician who is the leader of the federal New Democratic Party. He was the first turban-wearing Sikh to sit as a provincial legislator in Ontario, the first to lead a major federal party, as well as the first to hold a deputy leader position in Canada. But before entering politics, Singh was a lawyer. His family moved to Windsor, Ontario when he was 7 years old. Singh says he was bullied as a youngster and took up martial arts to defend himself, going on to captain his high school wrestling team and winning the Toronto Championships in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And when he was asked, I believe in an interview with GQ, how he got into fighting, quote, "I got picked on a lot at school and got myself into a lot of fights. For self-confidence and probably for some self-defense, my parents put me into martial arts and I loved it. I found the discipline, training, bodybuilding, skill development, and just learning something new to be exciting. I started martial arts when I was about 9 years old and have been training in one form or another ever since. I started off with Taekwondo and some Aikido. I did a lot of wrestling in high school. Later on, I did traditional boxing and Muay Thai, and I did a lot of striking, but my specialty was grappling, so fighting around wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and judo was my main focus." So there you go. And then when he was asked by HuffPost about it, he said, "There was a lot of racism as a brown kid with long hair and a funny-sounding first name. I got in a lot of fights all the time," he recounted. Kids would say, "You're dirty, your skin is dirty, why don't you take a shower?" Or, "You're not a boy, you're a girl because you have long hair." And then they would just come up and pull my hair or just punch me. Singh later became captain of his high school wrestling team and won the Scholar Athlete Award between 2003 and 2007. He was actually the GTA's undefeated champion for his weight class in submission grappling. Quote, "That makes you less of a target when you are very sure of yourself," he said. "I tried to carry myself very confidently, and I had to try to develop this mentality that people are going to stare at me. They're going to look back at me, so I better give them something to look at." Boom.
Yeah.
So, this is behavior that should never, ever, 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 ever happen. There should never be a cause for a politician or any other human being, for that fact, have to like go up to someone. Those are the types of things. If my mother was still around and I behaved like that, I would be told. In no uncertain terms, I would be told. And if I was told, I would remember. I would be told in such a way that I would remember.
Well,
because
this
I know that for a fact, because the one time in my life that I stole, shoplifted, my mom found out. She dragged me by the ear to the store, made me give it back, and then was having a conversation with the manager about, should we call the police? She said, I don't know if you should go to jail like this, which scared the living daylights out of me. And now when I go into other people's home, I don't even open the medicine cabinet. I don't open the fridge in someone's house without permission. Somebody says, go get it out of my purse or take it out of my wallet. I bring them the purse and the wallet. Yeah, exactly. It's like she scared the living daylights out of me. Right? I remembered that you don't do that. It was also preceded with no kid of mine's going to be a little thief. She grabbed me by the hair and brought me to the store. So I don't know what happened in their upbringing for them to think that this is in any way acceptable behavior. But something is missing. Something's missing here. So there's a lot of people that are going to, you see some comment criticizing the security guards for not intervening earlier. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm pretty sure Mr. Singh was signaling with his body and everything, and the way that he approached and strided confidently. I got this. So don't worry. Like I said, and if I don't got this, I know you're here. And if I don't got this, I do have some skills as well, which allows someone to step to someone else confidently. So there's that. There's the other person. There's the whole other group that's going to say, like, this behavior from Singh is unacceptable. One shouldn't do that. And it's like, why not?
Why not?
Why is it unacceptable to stand up for yourself? He wasn't violent. He was firm. He was assertive. It was pretty much the same thing I did when my neighbor a few doors down last summer.
Well, you got to take a look at this right here. Mr. Singh is pissed.
He is.
He's fed up with this, as am I, as is every decent person in this country who is tired of this behavior. This is a symbol of the pushback. Defiance in his face. He's ready, should he have to throw down. He doesn't want to. But you can see the look of determination on his face. And look at the guy in the background here.
Yeah. He's loving it.
Oh, it's on.
Yeah, he's sitting there. He knows.
Yeah.
He knows. He's probably been to a couple of sparring sessions or something. He knows.
You can see, he's angry. And the body language in this guy, he suddenly becomes diminutive.
Was it you?
No. Angry.
Sure?
But not,
if it was me, I'd admit it.
No.
Angry, but not out of control.
No. He's very much in control of his emotions.
See, that's the thing. It's controlled, channeled anger.
Yes. And this guy here is going, oh, come on, punch him. I don't know that he's thinking that, but his body language is...
His body language seems to indicate it.
He's
like, yep, exactly. Hands on the hips. He's just like, you don't, It's like, I just hear the soundtrack. Like, if it was me, I'm saying, oh, girl, back that truck up.
Well,
it's coming. It's coming.
Comment about all of this you may have missed. So, Tamara Leach commented about the Terry Fox thing, the Michael Cooper thing, and then this. And on this one, she said, it's unfair that he's confronting hardworking Canadians. Hardworking?
Mr. Singh's not a hardworking Canadian?
These clowns haven't worked in years. They hang out on Wellington Street.
Yeah,
they literally do not work.
But
I've walked by them 100 times.
Yes, but the insinuation there is that
Mr.
Singh is not a hardworking Canadian.
Yeah, you don't become a lawyer and a politician and a leader of a party by being lazy.
Now, sometimes you're working hard at all the wrong things. looking at you, Pierre.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean you're not working hard.
As we've said time and time again, as much as I despise Pierre Poilievre, I know he puts the hours in. I know he does, because you can't be that evil all the time without working hard at it.
It's a vocation.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have other people like James DeFiore, quote, "I don't think I've ever respected Jagmeet Singh more than I did watching this clip."
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And then again, many people are saying Jagmeet Singh was unhinged or setting a bad example. I disagree. If Singh were to show this kind of confidence as a parliamentarian, instead of the safe and effective manner we usually see from him, he would be far more popular. And I also believe that that's true. Now, I don't think I've ever respected Singh more than I did watching this clip. There are two other moments where I had much respect for Mr. Singh. One was I believe when the blackface photos came out and Mr. Singh made a video where he was addressing particularly young Canadians and telling them about his experience and telling them, to stay strong and to be confident and believe in themselves. And that was a very, very, very genuine moment. You can see that. That was a good one. And the day he actually signed the confidence and supply agreement. Supply and confidence agreement, sorry. And showing that he had that statesmanship quality where he could put country over party. Which didn't last, sadly, but on the day he signed that, right? So he's capable.
Oh yes,
he's capable of this. Why it is that he doesn't draw upon that more frequently, I don't know, but he is capable. But yes, a man stood up for himself. In a political climate where people are expressly trying and are somehow being funded to monitor the activities of people who say things with which they do not agree and harass them and try and intimidate them into silence, trying to make them choose to be smaller. A man stood up for himself.
Yes.
We need more of this.
We need a lot more of this. And
we need more of this because the first place, right, is like, oh, we can't do that. That will provoke them. They will do this anyway. You have to make it uncomfortable for them to do this.
When you confront a bully, 99 out of 100 times, they cower in fear because they don't expect the confrontation. They do not expect the pushback. They figure you will buckle under to their demands. You see how quickly that guy, oh, it wasn't me. Well, it must have been somebody behind me. I'm like, what are we, in high school?
My word. I guess we know what it's worth.
Nothing. Now, one other thing in regards to this. I don't know if you saw this, sir. From Anita Poilievre. Anita Poilievre? Pierre Poilievre's wife. She posted this on Twitter, or X. I'm sorry you were harassed today. Of course, it shouldn't be that way. There's better language and a time and a place to debate policies and what's best for our country. Mr. Singh, what country are you exactly suggesting my husband wants? People out there are hurting, and yes, they are angry, but my husband has not been the man in charge for the last 8 years. That's your friend, Justin Trudeau. People didn't wake up angry one day without reason. The policies implemented by the government that you support have caused much harm. Okay. We know that's a line of bullshit. Why are criminals released so easily? Why are so many court cases tossed?
Irrelevant.
You want safe streets? Then why are you continuously supporting the harmful liberal policies that cause this mess?
It's irrelevant to this confrontation.
You want to talk about the country Pierre Poilievre, my husband, wants? Then listen carefully to his policies and actually watch the man he is. I'm tired of you and your friends portraying my husband as someone he is not. Hold on. He married a Latina woman and fully embraces my culture. He married a strong woman and is proud of it. He supports, celebrates, and promotes strong women around him. He is a loving father of two and incredibly protective of our young, vulnerable daughter. He loves to read books to baby Cruz. Just tonight, he was reading Le Petit Prince to him. The country my husband wants is a country where hard work pays off, so that blue-collar workers, like cabinet makers, like my brother, don't have to choose between rent or food. where housing is affordable so that immigrants can adapt to their new home and actually afford one, like my parents were able to do many years ago. A country that is proud and where our military men and women are supported, because it is only fair that we support the people willing to give their lives for our country and freedom, like my other younger brother. Mr. Singh, the only person you have to blame for the current state of our country and people's mood and desperation, is the man currently in charge and those who keep him in charge. And I responded to this. Respectfully, I, among millions of Canadians, haven't heard or read a single policy that will help working class and poor Canadians like me. All we hear is three-word nonsense slogans. No solutions, only slogans. Let's not forget Pierre plans to end every single thing implemented. And then somebody else came along and said, Mrs. Poilievre, you bring up the CAF and military members. You should also always include military families, which naturally follows on to vets and Veterans Affairs Canada. Are you at all familiar with the treatment of veterans under the previous Conservative government, the Harper government? You may want to look into that or not mention it. Now, I thought that last comment was bang on because my military career father could not stand Aaron O'Toole because of what Aaron O'Toole, a former CAF member, did to veterans and Veterans Affairs. He gutted it, he closed offices left, right, and center, and he hung many veterans out to dry. I know because my father fought for years to get the settlement that he so rightly earned and deserved for getting hurt seriously on the job. They fought him tooth and nail every step of the way to avoid paying him. Because you see, their mandate is to discourage you to the point where you give up or you get too old and die. My sisters and my mother said, no damn way. You got hurt on the job. They did not take care of you. You earned that money through your blood. Get paid. And he did finally. But it took about 12 years, I think, 10 or 12 years. So when Oneida Poilievre, or Poilievre, talks about veterans, I'm sorry, lady, but your husband and his party and the previous prime minister did nothing to help veterans. All they did was harm them. And as I said, all he's got are three-word slogans, nothing more. We're going to axe the tax. So he's going to kill the revenue streams they have to build social programs that he will end. When Andrew Scheer was confronted about the dental program, boy, did he jump, jive, and juke around that question. Never answered it. And Vasi Capello said, with all due respect, that's not an answer to the question. And he kept avoiding it, which means his answer is, yes, I'm going to cancel it. I'm going to.
Yep.
Because if you cannot answer a simple yes or no question and you avoid it by all costs, avoidance is usually the tell of a lie.
Yep.
And Andrew Scheer is not a very good liar.
Yeah, indeed. I'm looking for it because I saw this morning, but I cannot seem to find it. It seems that people actually know the identity of that person because he's been seen at other events before. But I cannot I thought I had bookmarked it, but I had not. NDP MP Charlie Angus said that the encounter between the protesters and Mr. Singh, quote, was a national disgrace, and said that a national leader was left by himself to defend himself when security just stood around and watched. See, that's one of the ones who was there. I don't necessarily think that was the case. Yeah. So yeah, but it seems that this person, actually I saw another tweet as well saying that the person in the video was wearing the same clothes that he was wearing the night before at the party. From someone who was there. Not sure if that's the case as well, but they're saying that's how we know it's the same person. But yeah, I mean, his face can be absolutely clearly seen
Oh, yes.
in the video when Mr. Singh is talking to him. So hopefully I'll stumble upon it at some point during the show. But yes, his identity is known. Now, I don't know if there will be anything charges wise, because, I mean, it's not illegal to yell stuff on the street. I mean, there are certain things that you can't yell, hate crime stuff, but corrupted bastard isn't one of them. So I don't think that there's any cause for any charges here. But yeah, it's it's a thin line, because at a protest, corrupted bastard, when you're yelling and somebody's speaking on a microphone, that's one thing.
There were
But
two people there.
two people
Hurling
tailing
insults.
someone, filming with the phone, yelling insults to try to provoke a reaction.
Oh, they got a
He
reaction.
did, he did get a reaction.
Not the one they wanted.
Not the one they wanted. But I mean, that will still be taken.
Mhm.
Right? Somebody will, in those circles, somebody will put some of that music behind it. Look at Jagmeet get all unhinged and like this, maybe slow it down. Say that to my face. All those ominous things that they do.
Yes.
So, I mean, they got the clip.
Oh, they got the clip, all right.
They got the clip that they could twist and torque and edit and manipulate and all that kind of stuff and circulate among them and say, look, see, he's unhinged. He's the angry sick. See, they're all violent. And to play into that, that's
of course they will. Except
they got the clip, and that's why the first advice is always not to react. But again, right, counter the county. Sometimes you got to fight to be a man.
He was done hearing it, done having it, finished. Confront the bully, watch the bully back down in a heartbeat. There will be people, see, they're angry, see, except he didn't raise his fists. He didn't hit him. He spoke to him. He spoke to him sternly. He said, say it to my face. Say it to my face. You know how many keyboard warrior cowards I've confronted online? Well, wow, I go, say it to my face. I dare you. You don't have the stones. This guy didn't have the stones. He said it to his back. And when he turned around to face him, it wasn't me. It must have been somebody behind me. I don't know.
Here you go. Here's just look. Didn't take me long to find one.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Steep hill, truth to the battlefield. Again, truth in the handle. There's a red flag right there. Jagmeet Singh is clearly guilty of harassment and intimidating citizens who weren't guilty of anything. Calls one a coward without cause. Shameless disrespect. Singh.
Scroll down to the next tweet, though.
There we go. There's his name.
Yeah. Props. Wait, no, scroll down there. Props to Waylon Shrek for going to Ottawa to stand up. Shirk? To Jagmeet Singh and accidentally making Singh look better than any comms team could ever dream of doing.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, we knew that would happen. We knew that was going to happen. Of course they would.
Oh, God.
Let's stay with Jagmeet for a minute here. I've got something.
There needs to be something. I don't know what it is. But there needs to be something, because people like this and the Dinas and she eventually, did get caught for hitting someone with her megaphone one too many times, I'm guessing, or something, and has been denied bail. And then the convoy thing, again, and as we kept on saying, you have the right to protest, just not any damn way you want.
That's right. There are limitations on it.
There needs to be some type of offense for very much intimidating our public officials, because, as I've said on the show, again, these are the people that we elect to represent us. So when you do it to them, you're doing it to us.
And we're tired of it. We're a patient people, but our patience has been pushed beyond limit. And now, as I said in January, the pushback has begun. 2024 has been the year of the pushback, and it continues to push back even further. Sticking with Jagmeet, I've got a headline here that just came in. It was at 4 a.m. when it was released, but this is from the CBC. Conservatives are targeting Singh over his pension, but Poilievre's is 3 times larger. For weeks, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has been accusing NDP leader Jagmeet Singh of supporting the government until February so he can become eligible for his MP pension. But experts estimate the size of Poilievre's own pension at more than 3 times that of Singh's pension. A calculation of Poilievre's House of Commons pension indicates that he could draw more than $230,000 annually once he turns 65. That figure could grow considerably if Poilievre becomes prime minister following the next federal election. If Singh qualifies for his pension, he could draw more than $66,000 annually starting at age 65, the same estimates suggest. Mr. Singh isn't the one who should be getting attacked over his pension, said Green Party leader Elizabeth May. I think it's a slippery slope and one Poilievre will regret. Elizabeth May coming in again with the torpedoes.
She's good. Found it from Luc Lebrun. The guy appears to be Waylon Shirk. He was one of the participants in the conspiratorial Save the Children convoy last fall, which lived in a cornfield out in Castleman, Ontario for several months.
Yes, and the people who hosted them have regretted it ever since because it has cost them thousands upon thousands of dollars in hydro and cleanup costs.
Indeed. And it seems here as well, and I really apologize for what this says, but somebody posted, Waylon Shirk needs to be on a watch list. After humiliating himself today, he's going to be embarrassed and more angry, which means more dangerous. And they picked up this image from his socials.
Just a second, sir.
That reads as...
The day is coming soon to where good men are going to have to do bad things to very bad people. He thinks himself a good man.
And those he's filming, I would suspect, he considers to be very bad people. And what do we do to very bad people, potentially? Bad things.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts by following them and trying to provoke them while videotaping them. Or filming them, I should say. It's not videotape.
Yeah, it's not tape anymore. But it's the old Nomer, right? The old misnomer.
This. But if that doesn't work, then what? What's the next bad thing that you do to very bad people when the first thing, which was this, doesn't work?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we know what he's saying. It's coded. Yes.
And again, I said, somebody, when you start referring to people as very bad or evil, what is the solution for evil? Especially if you consider yourself one of those onward Christian soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
What is the solution for evil? What is the prescribed remedy for evil? We're very bad people. The distance between the dots being connected isn't all that far.
No.
Yeah. So, not impressed. Not sure. I'm guessing this Waylon Shirk guy must probably have a social media footprint that is sizable enough for people to be able to notice him. It's the first time I've ever heard the name, so I don't know.
I've never heard his name before. I think he goes by something else, like some sort of coded YouTube, like what's Chris Daisy Media, and there's Freedom George, one of those things. Yeah. I don't know what his name is.
All right. So,
they all slowly come to realize that, it was Freedom George. I couldn't take those honking horns for more than 10 minutes. Oh, really? As you sat on my front yard and did it for 3 weeks?
Jeez, I tell you.
They're almost there, right? They're so close.
They're so close. They're just so close. And it's just like you can lead a horse to college, but you can't make it think.
It's okay when I do it. If somebody else does it, it's a problem. It's not,
All right. Other news, kids and cubs. Yeah, I think I want to talk about this because I've been
way to
meaning
go,
talk about
cowboy.
it. Pardon?
Way to go, cowboy.
What?
On the screen from Cassie Lake. When I was a school trustee, the evangelicals came to my workplace to try to persuade, in quotations, me to push their agenda at board. When my cowboy found out, he went to their office and said, "Leave me alone."
Boom.
Good on the cowboy. Good on the cowboy, Cassie.
Yep. Cool. All right. There's another thing that's been happening. If we're talking about people behaving weirdly,
Mm-hmm.
on Friday last week, I believe, the federal government made an announcement with regard to our space program, technically, through Telesat, and that there was some funding that was going to go their way. And basically the Prime Minister came out and the Telesat put out a release saying, and this was a press release that came out actually April 1st that I'm going to read, and this sort of builds on that. But on April 1st, it was announced that Telesat, which is one of the world's largest and most innovative satellite operators,
Correct.
and I'm happy to talk about this personally because when it comes to Canada's space and aerospace industry, it's not huge.
No, but it's damn good.
But it punches way above its weight, particularly in accomplishments in business. And the only reason I know this is because my first job out of university was working for the Canadian Space Agency.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, my very, very first job when Senator John Glenn went back up into space. Around that time, I was brought in around that time because there was extra buzz and activity and they needed extra comms people. And I happened to be around. It was my first job out of university, and learned a lot about the Canadian Space Agency while I was there. Of course, as you do when you do comms for the space agency. But it announced on March 28, 2024, that Telesat had received a letter from Canada's Minister of Innovation, Science and Industry regarding an investment in Telesat Lightspeed. The letter states that following several months of negotiations between Telesat and federal officials, the Government of Canada is prepared to invest $2.14 billion in Telesat Lightspeed by way of a loan to Telesat LEO Incorporated, a wholly owned subsidiary of Telesat that is developing and will own and operate the highly advanced Telesat Lightspeed Low Earth Orbit Global Broadband Satellite Constellation. The loan will carry a floating interest rate that is 4.75% above the Canadian overnight repo rate average. With a 15-year maturity, interest is payable in kind during the Telesat Lightspeed construction period, followed by a 10-year sculpted amortization. Furthermore, Telesat LEO Incorporated will provide the Government of Canada with warrants for 10% of the common shares of Telesat LEO based upon an equity valuation for Telesat LEO of US $3 billion. So, it's a loan. It's a loan with 4.75% interest, which means we're making money off it, and we get 10% of the common shares at LEO. So if they go up, or if they come with dividends, we get money. Sounds like a pretty darn good deal to give ourselves a highly advanced Telesat Lightspeed low Earth orbit that will bring broadband to lots of places that are remote and don't yet have it.
Well,
or that have some spotty service.
There's a section of highway between the Alberta BC border when you go through the Rockies where it's about 110 kilometers with zero reception. Zero. Like nothing. And it's like, okay, that's not good. What if there's a massive accident? How long does it take for somebody to respond? Unless somebody has a sat phone with them, they can't call for help. That's just one example among hundreds around this nation where there's no coverage whatsoever. So this system will make things better. Because it's not about the phone at that point. You literally could just make I have Wi-Fi calling on my phone. which is VoIP, voice over IP is what it is.
Right.
And the beauty of that is if you have an internet connection, you can make a phone call. And with a Telesat connection, it will be good because Telesat is very good at what they do.
Extremely good at what they do. Article goes on, the announcement goes on. Telesat Lightspeed, quote, is a highly innovative and disruptive global broadband network and the largest space program in Canada's long and distinguished history. As a spacefaring nation, said Dan Goldberg, Telesat's president and CEO. I am delighted with the engagements we have had with the Government of Canada on this flagship program, which will help bridge the global digital divide, create and sustain thousands of high-quality jobs in Canada, spur domestic innovation, investments in exports, and ensure that Canada is at the forefront of the rapidly growing new space economy. The Government of Canada has been a strong supporter of the Telesat Lightspeed program, and we applaud their leadership and foresight. Goldberg added, we estimated that, in addition to the roughly US $2 billion of capital cost savings, we will realize roughly $750 million US of savings in reduced borrowing costs relative to the original Telesat Lightspeed program. Telesat Lightspeed will revolutionize broadband connectivity for enterprise and government users and represent a highly compelling growth and value creation opportunity for Telesat and its stakeholders. The Government of Canada investment is subject to certain conditions, including the entry of definitive documentation with the Government of Canada and Telesat's other financing sources to the Government of Canada's satisfaction. So not only are we going to be making money on the deal, but we are actually going to be reducing the cost of financing the program, which is in the interests of Canadians.
Mm-hmm.
So this overall seems like a pretty good idea, I would say. And here we have a bit of a clip of the Prime Minister on Friday talking about it, the announcement as he was making it. Now, the articles in the newspaper and in the press show up like Canada, Quebec give billions of dollars for satellite production. It's not given.
No,
it's
a loan.
Lent.
It's a loan.
Lent.
It's not a grant, it's a loan. They have to pay it back.
Yes, loan billions of dollars for satellite production. So when you start talking about giving, well, then people run with that. So put a pin in that, Mr. Grizzly. Show us the Prime Minister, if you would.
When you think about this project that we're launching right now, you see real impact. You see that not only the great jobs and the global leadership that workers here at MDA and across our aerospace industry are continuing to lead the way on, but you see impacts right across the country and around the world. Think of a far-off, remote Indigenous community that has spotty internet connection, where the kids have to go to school remotely, but can't rely on the connections to actually follow through. This is about making sure that they have affordable access to connecting with the world. Now think of a distant mine or a forestry company needing to make sure that its employees, its workers, can stay connected via FaceTime to their kids, given the long hours and the weeks that they work remotely, building the grounding of our natural resources industry. These are things that make a difference in people's lives. The world needs to stay connected, and Canada, quite frankly, is one of those countries that does a better job of bringing people together than just about anyone else in the world. And now we get to do that to some of the most advanced technology that the world will continue to need to rely on for decades to come. That's what this investment is about. Yes, it's about investing in satellites and space and all sorts of really cool stuff. But it's fundamentally about making sure that Canadians and people in more distant communities, in smaller northern communities, and in remote parts of the world can be connected to the transformation and the progress that the world is seeing at increasingly destabilizing speeds. On top of everything that we're doing, Telesat will be investing over $4.4 billion back into the Canadian economy through research.
So, all of that stuff going on sounds like a good deal. The Quebec government has announced a loan of $400 million to the company, which has contracted aerospace technology firm MDA, used to be called McDonald Detweiler Associates, to build its satellites in Sainte-Anne-de-Bellevue, Quebec. Premier François Legault told reporters that Telesat plans to create 967 jobs in the province. And it seems that according to a news release from the Office of the Prime Minister, the loan will create 2,000 jobs in Canada. The Premier also stressed the importance of the aerospace sector to Quebec, which is home to 3 of the world's biggest airplane manufacturers. However, he said the sector's future increasingly relies on satellites and not just planes. Quote, if we want to be the champion of aerospace, we have to be it in satellites, Legault said. And Telesat President Daniel Goldberg described this program as being funded as the largest space program in Canada's history. He said the development of satellites would improve broadband connectivity, national security, and public services in Canada and beyond. Quote, this constellation will be transformative for Canada, for Quebec, but it will be transformative for the whole world, he said. Trudeau said that Ottawa-based Telesat will invest the $4.4 billion back into the Canadian economy through research and development. As well, MDA has broken ground on a 185,000 square foot expansion of its Quebec facility to meet future demand and, quote, create the most advanced assembly line for satellites in the world, the Prime Minister said. The Canadian government said that Telesat Lightspeed program is already underway with the first of an initial 198 satellites scheduled to launch in 2026. So, remember that report that we talked to about from Bloomberg many months ago, maybe about 4 or 5 months ago, saying how Canada has diversified its economy more than anybody ever could expect? It's stuff like this. All the EV announcements, all the battery announcements, getting the first mRNA plant. Whoa, we know where my mind is, eh? Whoop, whoop, party, party. Whoop, the first mRNA vaccine plant outside of where they had been established in the COVID period. All these new industries, the industries of the future, green technology that we are getting into so that we could be participants in the next economy. Now, they're talking about all this stuff. The other reason Telesat is important, according to Stuart B., that's at B3Man1 on Twitter, quote, the primary reason the federal government prefers to support Telesat is that Starlink, owned by US-based SpaceX, for example, is a service for residential commuters. Starlink is not secure enough for businesses and government users, including maritime aviation and for military purposes. And then, according to Tyler Meredith, who used to be the head of fiscal and economic policy for the Prime Minister and Ministers of Finance, Chrystia Freeland and Bill Morneau, he says, this would be one thing if we were all we were talking about was broadband, but Lightspeed is also about dedicated capacity for Canadian-owned and produced capacity for the Canadian Armed Forces. And then he highlights a passage that says, Telesat, this is a quote, Telesat Lightspeed for DND missions, Department of National Defense. Designed to meet the most demanding government missions in the air, at sea, and on the ground, Telesat Lightspeed can advance and deliver key defense programs and requirements for Canada, the United States, and all other allied countries, including NORAD modernization, improving surveillance and monitoring of northern and maritime approaches, modernizing CAF and NORAD command and control systems, supporting NATO activities through a global secure tactical network that bypasses foreign terrestrial networks, combating climate change and investing in infrastructure and capabilities to support joint operations globally, including in the far north. Leveraging more than 50 years of providing resilient connectivity solutions for the Canadian Armed Forces, Telesat designed the Telesat Lightspeed network with an advanced system architecture and cybersecurity measures to enable ubiquitous, high-throughput, low-latency broadband connectivity for defense missions in Canada, the Arctic, and across the globe. In today's geopolitical climate, such connectivity has never been more key for national security.
No kidding.
So, good announcement, good for everyone. Here's where the stuff goes off the rails.
Well, I mean, one of the first comments I see is a satirical comment. Trudeau is beaming 5G space rays into our brains. CPC voters next week, probably.
Probably. And what has happened as a result of this is you had a couple, well, all the usual people,
Yes.
again, or the usual sources, come out and make really, really interesting comments, kind of suggesting that this was not a good way to go. And the first one of those was Mike Barrett, CPC MP Mike Barrett, who's quickly developing a reputation as bully Barrett, because he's on all these committees, like, investigating ad scam and investigating the sale of the consulate residence in New York City, claiming that Tom Clark was somehow personally involved in the decision, and hiding stuff, and that this was bought for him specifically, and while not at all commenting on Stornoway, where his boss lives, where I'm pretty sure he's not paying fair market rent for Stornoway, though Tom Clark is paying fair market rent for the residential part of where he's going to be, where he lives when he does his job as consul general in New York City, because it seems that the Conservatives believe that the best thing for our economic prosperity is to be nowhere and not present in New York City, because that's how you do business, by not being present in New York City. Anyway, these people are not. They're not the greatest. They're not the smartest people. At least, no, sorry. Let me take that back. It's not that they're not the smartest people. It's because they're so constantly trying to win the current nanosecond, the current moment. Is that when you try to win every single moment, it's impossible to have a consistent narrative over time. Because when you're trying to win every moment, you got to shift to whatever the moment requires. But when you take a step back and you look, well, wait a minute, before you said that, now you're saying this, and that's contradictory. So if you're playing the long game, you try to have a consistent narrative over time. If you're trying to win every single moment, because at the end of the day, your message is completely garbled, because one day you're saying one thing and the next day you're saying the opposite.
Exactly.
Right. But yeah, Mike Barrett had basically run to Elon Musk, because apparently that is what we are doing these days. If we are conservative politicians, is that we are finding ways to ask Elon Musk to ride on in on his space rocket, I guess, and come up with a solution that will save the day for us.
Yeah.
Now, of course, a lot of this is on the basis, of course, that Elon Musk is a proud Canadian citizen.
Well, he does have Canadian citizenship.
He does.
His mom is from Saskatchewan.
Canadian. Yes. But he's lived here 40 months.
Yeah, most of the last 30 years he's lived in the U.S.
Right. And put a pin in that, because we'll get back to that too. But here's Michael Barrett.
Hey, Elon Musk, how much would it cost to provide Starlink to every Canadian household that doesn't have high speed? If this $2.14 billion plan is the panacea of expanding access, competition, and service, where's the interest from private investors and banks? So Elon came back and said he could do it for $500 million, I believe.
Well, he did say, but he said
less than that. Less than half that amount. Yeah,
less than half that amount.
Except, here's the thing: he doesn't have Canadian security or interests in mind. Number one. Number two, he's been known to just turn shit off when he feels like it.
I actually have a little thing on that as well. Because apparently James brought that to my attention. That story is a little misunderstood. But so Mike Barrett frames this as, of course, giving 2.14 instead of a loan.
It's a loan.
So he doesn't understand the economics of the deal, or pretends he doesn't understand the economics of the deal. And once, let's put it this way. Even if Elon Musk is a Canadian citizen, Starlink is not Canadian.
Correct.
Right? And not exactly. And so the jobs wouldn't be here. The investment wouldn't be here. The 185,000 square foot plant might not be here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So basically, here we have Telesat Lightspeed, which is a huge success, very respected throughout the world.
Mm-hmm.
The government wants to give it a loan that gives us interest, and gets us a 10% equity stake.
Correct.
Which means more money for us.
Correct.
We get to create the jobs here, whatnot. And their first job is, oh, wait a minute. That's something in which Canada is succeeding.
Mm-hmm.
And everything's broken. So why not champion putting all that money and all those jobs and whatnot somewhere else but here? Let's not invest in our own Canadian aerospace industry,
which provides jobs to engineers.
And those might be union jobs.
I don't know about that, but
I don't know.
Engineers, manufacturers, shippers, there's a lot of spill off from this, man.
Yep.
Michael Barrett has proven time and time again he's either willfully ignorant or blissfully stupid.
Yeah.
Because every time I see a comment from him, I'm like, oh my God, put the Twitter machine down. Do a little bit of reading. Do some Googling before you type. Because good God, man, you make yourself look so stupid daily. Daily. And I don't know if it's intentional or if he's just not very bright.
Yep. All right. If you put this one, I believe this is the Prime Minister responding in the House of Commons.
What we're doing, Mr. Speaker, when we announced in Quebec a significant investment in Telesat to create good jobs in Quebec, which will have an impact on productivity and national security in Canada and all around the world, the Conservative response was to call their friend Elon Musk to say, no, you can't send those jobs here to Canada. Instead, you should be giving your money to American billionaires. We find that completely far-fetched. We are here to invest in Quebecers for the future.
The honorable leader.
What we're doing.
All right. So basically saying the same thing. I thought there would have been a little something more dramatic to that clip there. And that the volume would have been a little better. So yeah. And you had all the usual suspects come out. Yeah, and here, one of the ideas, the usual suspects. This is Terry Newman, who is senior editor, National Post Comment, and Canada has made a success along with Americans, part of its national identity. Sorry, Canada has made hating success along with Americans part of its national identity. A nation that hates successful people is destined to be resentful welfare state. Because François-Philippe Champagne dared to answer, typical Poilievre nonsense. They prefer giving money to foreign billionaires instead of supporting our industry and our workers. This loan will help build a world-class Canadian-made satellite network and supports thousands of jobs in Quebec. Now that's common sense. So all the usual suspects basically saying, we need to give this to Elon. Why aren't we asking Elon? Now, I responded with, give it to the guy who turned off the satellites in Ukraine, when Ukraine. turns out that's not exactly what happened.
Oh,
Now, turns out that when he gave Ukraine the okay for Starlink, because it was supposed to be for communications, Elon never turned it on in the Crimea area. It just seems that he didn't inform the Ukrainians of that
interesting.
at
So he
some
didn't
point.
turn it off.
So
He never activated it.
he had never activated it in the first place. So now his rationale was, because over there he didn't want to be dragged into a larger war by giving them permission. But the thing is that the Ukrainians organized everything in order to mount an attack, then got there and found out it wasn't working. Now, how does an entire military not know that the satellite wasn't working there if they either were not told it was not working there and they just assumed, or they were told, oh, yeah, it's working there, but it was never turned on? Don't know what happened.
Makes one
But
beg
it
the
seems like a
question.
rather interesting thing for an entire military
Mhm.
to show up someplace and then find out that something they need isn't working, because you'd think that's the type of thing that they would have secured beforehand. And considering the manner in which Ukraine has been prosecuting this war, which is rather proficiently,
Mhm.
seems to me a mistake. I find it very hard to first believe that they would have made. I have no facts or whatnot. It just seems to me it's the whole thing about military is all these tabletop planning. It would seem that somewhere along the way, someone would ask the question, maybe we should make sure that the satellite is working over there.
Well, it makes one beg the question, let's go with the paint by numbers again. How much is he into Putin for?
Who's the he we're talking about in this case?
Elon Musk. How much is he on the hook, monetarily speaking, to Vladimir Putin?
I have no idea.
No, I don't either. But it
If
makes
any,
you
I
beg
don't
the
know.
question, right? Oh, I don't want to get involved in the war, but you provided the product to somebody defending their sovereign territory, but you didn't turn it on because it benefits Russia and Vladimir Putin to not turn it on. I mean, it just, it's where there's smoke, there's usually fire. That's what I'm getting at. I need to get a coffee. I will be right back, sir.
Oh, okay.
Did you have something right away? Or
No. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. I'll be right back.
Go ahead. So the other thing that has been going on is that while all of this clamoring to give this type of power to Elon Musk, so it's not only sending Canadian jobs somewhere, enriching a firm that is not Canadian, it is also surrendering a lot of power with regard to military, right? Because we mentioned that whole section about what that could do for the military and how it helps. So it's not just broadband. It helps with NORAD and Canadian Air Force things, and helping to monitor what's going on in the Arctic and all that kind of stuff. So we really need this, and it would probably be a good thing for this type of thing to remain in Canadian hands and Canadian interests, rather than surrendering it to someone who, if they didn't turn off the satellites in the Crimea area, either didn't turn them on or tell the people to whom they were offering the service that the service would not be available in certain parts, which is a little odd, I would say. But the other thing is that Elon has been making some news lately. If we remember, it wasn't that long ago that Mr. Musk posted this tweet, and I believe it was around the time that things were going a little batshit in the UK with the false accusation that an asylum seeker had stabbed 3 children coming back from I believe it was like a Taylor Swift dance party or a birthday party or something.
Mhm.
Seemingly call for civil war. And then he had another one on the day that Taylor Swift came out and endorsed Kamala Harris, where he mentioned something about, I believe it went something like, okay, Taylor, you win. I'll essentially put a baby in you and I will guard your cats with my life.
Yes. Very bizarre behavior.
Yeah. And then happened that on the day that there was an arrest of a second person in an apparent assassination attempt, because no shots were fired. So we are assuming. Then he put out some type of tweet with regard to potentially something having to do with the assassination of Kamala Harris and Biden.
Well, I'm
It
sure
was
the Secret Service is investigating him, because if you make a statement like that, it gets looked at right away.
Yes. So this one here. So I was looking. I had assembled all three of them for some reason, but I guess I'd forgot to bookmark. And no one is even trying to assassinate Biden/Kamala. Yeah.
Mhm.
Gee,
Yeah.
it's like, why
That'll
would
get you
someone want?
investigated.
Yeah. So it seems that he did get a knock on the door because, well, let me see if you have heard this one before.
Stop me if you've heard this before.
Yeah, really.
Turns out that jokes are way less funny if people don't know the context and the delivery is plain text. Well, one lesson I've learned is that just because I say something to a group and they laugh doesn't mean it's going to be as all that hilarious as a post on X. Nice backpedal there.
Yeah. Now, again, Elon Musk is 53 years old.
Mm-hmm. He acts like
And
a 15-year-old.
hey, everybody on Twitter, all of you, I'm guessing there must be about a billion people on Twitter by now.
I'm not sure.
Okay. I just learned how jokes work. Did you all know? That joking about the assassination of any person with an elected official is actually not funny.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that humor does not translate, especially like in a medium where you don't have tone inflection, you can't see someone's face,
Mm-hmm.
right?
You know,
It's
you
like,
have video available on Twitter. You could record yourself saying it to make it look like a joke, but you didn't.
but when this happened, I thought of a joke too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, looks like Trump wasn't the only one who was trying to sink a hole in one that day.
Apparently that guy was not there to assassinate him, though.
But I didn't say that joke.
Yes.
I thought of it. I wrote it. And then I stopped there and I thought.
Yeah, that won't be perceived correctly.
Well, first of all, I was going to add too soon.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, maybe not. Now, I did get to use it, saying if I would tweet it as the people on the right was, I would have tweeted this, but I'm not, so I don't. Which was a way to get it out there. But I don't. It's not the type of stuff you joke about, man.
No.
And here we're
Not.
saying like this, yes, let's give this capacity to a company run by a man who threatens to put a baby in someone.
Yeah, that's a rapey.
Wonders
Statement.
why it is that nobody's attempted to assassinate the other people yet, and who has pretty much literally called for civil war. Or no, not called for civil war, but said civil war is inevitable.
Yes, correct. He didn't call for it.
Yes.
We want to be factually correct on that. He did not call for it, but he keeps saying that it's inevitable, as did Tim Pool, like almost daily for a while.
Yeah, let's hand that. Let's just hand over the Telesat Lightspeed network to someone who has shown they're that stable. I mean, the decision is bad on its own on an economic level. It's bad alone on a sovereignty level. But then it's like, of all the people in the world, you would like to hand that over to this guy?
Mm-hmm.
Like, really, this guy? Conservatives, come on, man. Like, come on.
Reformers.
Not all costs are financial, buddies.
Mm-hmm.
We could do it for cheaper. Yeah, but have you seen who you're asking to do it?
And if my grandmother had wheels, she would be a bicycle.
Trust me, it won't be cheaper. Building the satellite might be cheaper, but the whole thing will not be cheaper. Trust me.
It won't be.
It's going to be very, very costly. Very costly. It's like, I don't understand all these people. Like, it's like one of two things, right? I understand the price of everything, the value of nothing, or I cannot wrap my head around the concept that there are costs that are not measured in dollars. Effort, energy, PR fallout, lawsuits. Some guy deciding to zig on you when you think they're going to zag. In an industry where you really need predictability. If there are military operations and national security operations, you need that thing to be on.
Yeah.
When you need it. That's not the moment you need to be picking up a phone and going, hey, dude, what you... It's like, sorry, going through a tunnel. Like the Ukrainians found out. It's like, hi, dude, we're up here, and for some reason we can't seem to communicate.
Things not working that you said would be working. Why is that? Like,
So, yeah. I am conservatives, man.
Again, I don't think this guy's very smart.
No, but what is this deal with wrapping yourself in the flag constantly, but every single time that comes the time to champion Canada or support Canada or cheer for Canada, they are nowhere to be found. And in fact, they've got the pom-poms of the other team on and they're shaking them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what the hell? This constant cheering for us to fail or for someone else to get the prize.
I don't understand it either. It makes no sense to me at all. Why?
Speaking of news, that will do that. Because I'm sure at some point yesterday, Pierre Poilievre needed to go to a very, 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 very dark room with probably like 5 pounds of cheesecake and 7 bottles Crown Royal.
Over this headline?
And put on...
This ridiculous headline I'm going to put on the screen here.
Well, I think it's the same headline. Oh, go ahead.
This one. Ridiculous headline.
Oh, not that one, but yes.
No.
No,
Justin Trudeau will let the Conservatives try to topple his minority government next week. Sources. Okay. And who is this written by? Tonda McCharles.
Mm.
She has a real hate on for the PM, and it comes through in her writing.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is deceptive the way they wrote this.
Yes.
Like they say he controls who gets to speak when.
It's an opposition day motion.
Yeah. That's how the government works.
There's going to be about 7 of them this session.
Yeah. It's like, it's just, oh, come on, really? Tonda.
And all it
Tonda,
is
you're
going to be
really
a waste of our
reaching.
time and our money because, well, Pierre Poilievre needs the NDP and the Bloc, and the Bloc leader just made it very, very clear that if your thing has anything having to do with carbon tax, we're not in.
Nope.
So he's literally going to, again, be taking your tax dollars, putting a match.
Mm-hmm.
It's a stunt.
And remember,
Pierre clips again.
the supply and confidence agreement was with the NDP, which is the fourth party because the Bloc has more seats.
Yep. But what I was talking about.
So what I'm getting at is the chances of a non-confidence vote actually succeeding, pretty slim. It's possible. Anything's possible. But
But when I was mentioning Pierre finding himself in a dark room with all that cheesecake and Crown Royal to soothe himself because he can't handle it when Canada succeeds. This happened yesterday.
Canada's inflation rate finally hit the Bank of Canada's target. What does that mean for prices? Inflation rate reached 2% in August, lowest rate since February 2021.
Not even 2.1 like we suggested, but 2. Right,
Oh, so you're
bang
referring to
on.
him trying to lick his wounds with the cheesecake and whiskey. I was talking about celebrate with the fact that he might have a non-confidence vote. So that's
Oh, yes.
over under.
Over under. It's a twofer.
It's a twofer.
So yeah, yesterday the governors of the Bank of Canada, not the governors of the Bank of Canada, sorry, the good folks from Statistics Canada came out and said that Canada's inflation rate is exactly at 2%, like literally on the target. And this is a fast deceleration because we were at, I think, around 2.8% 2 months ago, and it went down to 2.5, or we were at 2.9, and then they were expecting 2.1, and it came in at 2.0. It was like literally exactly. I don't know what Pierre is going to blame. So basically, interest rates have come down 0.75%. Inflation's back down to 2%, and the price of gas is right now lower than it was before the last carbon tax increase.
Right.
So what is it that is making us go to food banks then?
I think it would have to do with corporate greed from grocers.
Because all the things that he's blaming for no longer exist.
Oh.
Everything he's been yelling and screaming about for the last 2 years. Yeah, he's going to need a new act soon. Canada's inflation rate decreased to 2% in August. Statistics Canada reported on Tuesday, finally hitting the Bank of Canada's target in its long campaign to cool price growth. And this is from Jenna Benchertrit at CBC News. The central bank began aggressively hiking rates in April 2022 to tame skyrocketing inflation and made its first rate cut since March 2020 in June. Quote, our confidence that inflation will continue to move closer to the 2% target has increased over recent months, Bank of Governor Tiff Macklem said at the time. Last month's 2% rate marks the slowest pace of growth since February 2021. The Bank of Canada's preferred core measures of inflation also ticked down a notch. Quote, inflation remains unthreatening, and the Bank of Canada should now focus on trying to stimulate the economy and halting the upward climb of the unemployment rate, CIBC senior economist Andrew Grantham wrote in a note to clients. Quote, we continue to forecast a further 200 basis points of interest rate cuts between now and the middle of next year. Inflation edged down in August, mostly due to a drop in gasoline prices, which are considered volatile. When gasoline is included, the rate came in at 2.2%. So the price of gas has decreased so much in that month that had it stayed the same, the inflation rate would have come in at 2.2%, but it came in at 2. A whole 10% less if we're using Skippy math. Because let's use the percent number rather than the real number when it looks bigger.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's because now, even as the Bank of Canada has hit its target, Canadians might not be feeling the impact of lower inflation because they're shopping for groceries or other goods. That's because while the pace at which prices grow has slowed, they mostly remain elevated, said Pedro Antunes, chief economist at the Conference Board of Canada. It's like when the price of things that had gone up are not going down. It's just that they're increasing at a rate that is more normal. And at least at the moment, and for the last year, at a rate that is way less than wage growth at the moment. But even in this report, inflation is down at 2. Inflation, you strip out gas, is at 2.2%. Food inflation inched up from 2.1 to 2.4% over the last month. Antunes says there's no great science behind the 2% target, but there are 2 reasons for it. Quote, for one, it's important to have low inflation and stable inflation so that we are not affecting people's livelihoods, he said. For people on fixed incomes, inflation needs to remain low enough that they maintain their purchasing power. But the Bank of Canada doesn't necessarily want to reach 0% inflation because that can lead to negative inflation, also called deflation. Why is that bad? Well, if prices are dropping, people tend to hold off on purchases, Antunes said, and it can kind of have a negative impact on the economy. As has long been the case, mortgage interest and rental costs were the largest contributors to the Consumer Price Index in August, though mortgage interest growth is slowing, the data agency noted. Grantham, the CIBC economist, noted that if mortgage interest costs were excluded from overall inflation, the rate would have come in at 1.2% year over year. There you go. Consumers paid 2.4% more for groceries in August, as I mentioned, the result of what economists call a base year effect, the impact of comparing prices in a given month to the same month a year earlier. Meanwhile, the price of clothing and footwear declined, atypical during a back-to-school shopping month, and electricity prices grew at a slower pace. The Bank of Canada will hold its next interest rate meeting on October 23rd. Some economists say the question isn't whether the central bank will cut, but whether the cut will be 25 basis points or 50. And we might get some insight into that today because the U.S. Fed has had their 2 days of meetings yesterday and today, so they'll probably come out with a decision sometime today. And it is widely expected that the U.S. Fed will also start cutting interest rates. It will be their first cut. There too, the question is, will they start with a 50? My guess is that they probably would because they are far enough behind. I mean, they've been criticizing in Canada that we started cutting too late, and we started a few months ago, and the U.S. is starting way later. So that could be it could very well be a 50. There's also a case to be made for starting out with 25, start off slow, see how the market reacts, and
Right.
yeah, right. But there is a case for 50. If the U.S. goes 50, there's probably a stronger case for a cut of 50 the next time in Canada as well, because that would maintain the current spread at 3/4 of a point. Because as I mentioned before, the U.S. Central Bank and the Canadian Central Bank usually don't like to be within more than one point of each other.
Mm-hmm.
So if the U.S. cuts 50, then that creates the permission structure for that. So so far, if things remain as they are in terms of on the trend, and there isn't like a huge world event to send some type of shock, we could potentially see, and if the next election is in October, we could potentially, rather than see a 4.25% or a maximum of 5, like we saw before, Bank of Canada interest rate, we could see something around 2.75 or 2.5% around that time, which is way different and will definitely change the cost of living for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Good news for Canada. PP's probably crying somewhere, which is also good news for Canada. That was a little bitchy.
Yeah. That's fine. I'll take that. I'll take it. I'll accept it.
All right, Mr. Grizzly, do we have a show?
We do indeed, sir. And you can hear I'm sure you can hear my doggy here panting away if she needs to go out.
All right, kids and cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. Very much appreciate when you do. And there's a lot of people, again, still I'm seeing online a lot more people retweeting our content and retweeting it with a comment and very kind compliments about us. And things to say about our show. So thank you. I believe there was somebody that tweeted something yesterday saying, recommending our show to someone. It says like, listen to this today. Because he was talking about Elizabeth May, and we mentioned like this, and listen to them every day. Trust me, you'll love them. So
Awesome. Thank you.
that type of thing. So the enthusiastic support really makes us happy. Thank you very much. If you do not want to miss an episode, then hey, you don't have to. Thanks to the Ray Girl, because she has sponsored our pod page. That's podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters, with a hyphen between each one of those words. And if you go there and click subscribe, when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, well, it comes directly to you. You won't have to miss it. I also see in the chat, because I haven't been able to follow it all that much, but we seem to have a newer Kit Catherine, which is a name I do not recognize from before. So welcome to the Beaver Lodge. Pull up a log and make yourself comfy. We hope that you enjoy it here. Hello. Catherine says, I saw this program a while ago and did find it shocking. Take the time to watch. You will find a lot to think about it. I'm not sure what program that is, if you're talking about us or if you're talking about another program. But please let us know because we'd be happy to bring attention to it. All right, if you would like, so yes, the QR code underneath my chin will bring you to our pod page if you'd like to go there and subscribe. Now, if you'd like to help us in other ways, then you need to make like our Kit Elaine and surf on down to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page. Hello, Lola, you cute little thing. And there we have our buttons for you. Like, share, and subscribe. When you click on those, well, it makes us happy. And in turn, it allows us to make you happy by producing more quality content for you. So we thank you for doing that. And if you would like to support us in yet another way, the QR code by Mr. Grizzly's head brings you to our coffee page. And that's where you will find our tip jar. So if you like what we do and you would like to encourage us to do more, well then, if you leave us a little something there, because it does cost us something to produce the show and bring it to you, we would be very, 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 very grateful. Oh my God, that's a close-up Lola cam. Right there. Oh my God, she is so adorable. I love that dog. So yes, if you leave us a little something there, we are very, very grateful. We appreciate all your contributions, and don't worry if you're not able to contribute anything, because the gift of your attention and participation is the one that we cherish the most. And we love to hear from you. So write to us at truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. If you would like to leave a message on our Twitter feed, our handle is @TrueEager. And then you can reach us on our Facebook page, True North Eager Beaver, or leave a note right here on our YouTube page if you have been watching here with the damn fam in the chat, and let us know what you think. And at this point, I want to give a little thank you to some kits who have sent us some lovely contributions. Kit T. Wigmore with telling us, love what you fellows are trying to accomplish with your show, topics, approach, language, demeanor. Good on you. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And Kit Wendy, support and appreciation, ! Cheers, gents, ! Thank you so much. We appreciate all the encouragement. Thank you for your support. It really does help. Trust me, it really helps.
It does.
And we are very, very grateful. Because democracy is something that you do. Tomorrow is the by-election provincially in Ontario in the Bay of Quinte. So remember, friends don't let friends vote alone. Bring people with you. And it's also the last day to throw your hat in the ring if you want to be in the running for the Ward 15 position in Toronto. There you go, kids. Also, take some time to write some letters to your MPs to get more action on finding out what is going on with Russian disinformation Canada and its potential links to the Conservative Party of Canada. Ask some questions about Mike Roman as well.
Yes.
Keeps on being indicted in the United States, and there was a link. I'm not sure if it still exists, but when Mr. Scheer was the leader, so might want to dig into that as well. And of course, if you're in Ontario, to your MPPs about what it is that we are doing for children in care.
Yeah, there's a problem there.
There's a big problem, and we've got more on that coming in the next few days, kids and cubs.
We've got a few things we're working on, and I don't know for the people who've joined the memberships. There's a new Grizzly Growl out. There'll be new Beaver Tales coming soon, and another Grizzly Growl I'm trying to put together today if I have the time. I have a lot to do today. So, but yeah, for those who have joined the loyalty membership tier, we are producing additional content for you.
Yes, and also Kits and Cubs, as Mr. Grizzly mentioned, if I think he did yesterday, but our special reading the DOJ indictment of the 2 Russian nationals who used to work for RT or still do, that tried to influence political thought in the United States and in Canada, is now fully up, the full complete version with the full DOJ indictment reading and our analysis, both in video and podcast form. I do not believe, Mr. Grizzly, that it is under our live tab.
No, because it was pre-recorded only. But
Yes.
I'll put a link. So I just put a link to the audio version in audio or Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
And here is a link to the YouTube if you want to watch us read it to you.
Yes. And to those of you who joined us live when we were broadcasting and watched the first 49 minutes twice, beginning to end, and then got to an hour and 15 minutes the second time, if you watch it again, you do have my permission to come in where it is you left off. You don't have to watch it all over.
And I don't know why it didn't do it. For some reason, when I loaded it, I download, so I go in, because we did it in 2 parts. So I had to splice stuff together, and we had to cut out a couple of sections where I stumbled over the words I was reading. So I edited that out. And when I put it all together, it was a fairly big file, about 15 gigabytes. And when I went to download it, it says download finished, and I went to upload it. And then what I realized, it had only downloaded 8 gigs the first time, and then 12 the second time. And then the third time was the charm, and it downloaded the entire file, which is why it's up now, available to watch. But why it did that, I don't know. Some sort of weird Mac Apple thing.
Mm-hmm. Another bit of news that just crossed my feed here. Sean Rouse, if you'll remember, who was one of our guests, and hope to have him back soon, because we haven't forgotten that we have a focus on New Brunswick and focus BC and Saskatchewan, because there are provincial elections coming up all in the same month, like within a few days. But Sean Rouse reminds us it's the day before writ drop in New Brunswick, so I guess the writ's coming down tomorrow. And Higgs does not have a full slate of candidates. He is missing candidates in each of these ridings: Belbé Belledune, Haute-Terre Nipissiguit, Shippagan Les Îles, Acadie, and Shediac Cap Acadie. That's interesting for an incumbent government.
And please,
seems to have trouble finding people to run for him.
If you are watching or listening in the province of New Brunswick and you go to vote, when you get to the ballot box, or if you're of the riding where Fatine Grasecci or whatever her name is, do not vote for her. She is not a good person. She will do irreparable harm to your riding. She is not a good person.
And your kids.
And your kids. She's not good. She will do harm. She will bring harm.
She's one of those evangenitals.
Yes. That's exactly what she is.
All right. It could be a tough world out there, kids and cubs. So please be kind to and gentle with yourself. Mr. Grizzly, some words of wisdom?
Try and prioritize yourself today. Put yourself first. I know it sounds selfish, but sometimes you have to get things done in your life that you need to. That's what I'm doing today. I'm putting myself first. Tomorrow, I'm going to the Legion with my dad.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So,
it's
prioritize yourself.
Pardon?
Prioritize yourself.
Yes. The one thing I was wondering, so did you just put the Russia thing, just put it up and not have like another live broadcast, right?
Yeah, it's just posted. I didn't do another, not a live broadcast, but a debut.
Okay, perfect.
I can do that if you like, but it's there.
I know people like the chat.
Yeah.
On the so yeah, it might be a good idea to do it another broadcast. Because we kind of did lose the chat from the other two because we had to to remove them because they were the wrong rungs. the wrong ones. I said that too quickly. All right, Mr. Grizzly, if you would, I do believe it might be time to cue the cock.
I believe that, yes, it is. Oops.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. All right, and we have an Easter egg, and I'm very, 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 very happy to present this to you because kids and cubs, Jensen Germs, back with us. Cranky Canuck, yay!
It's only a still, though. It's not the video.
What do you mean? Oh,
It's only a still.
really?
Yeah, it's just a still. I have to click on it.
Okay.
It's just a still frame. It's not. It's not
Shouldn't-
the video.
Okay, send it again. Because for me on my screen, it's moving. There's a video.
It says you're unable to view this post because total number 2 can see their post. Yeah, that's why. So it's limited, so I can't see it. Yeah.
Oh, darn. Okay, then, that's too bad. Okay, I will put it here in the chat for you kids. But yeah, do check on Cranky Canuck. And yeah, I will try to write to him and ask him to include you. Are you following Cranky?
Yeah. I don't know why.
Okay. Okay, no worries.
Although weird stuff has been happening with the Twitter where all of a sudden I realize somebody I've been following and interacting with for years just disappears through no fault of their own or mine.
Yep.
Weird things.
No worries. I will do that, and then we will have it for you tomorrow, kids and cubs. Hopefully.
Alrighty.
All right. Bye,
Oh,
everyone.
wait, just before we go, I want to show you something that I think is interesting. And I'm running late. I got to get the doggy out because she's really got to pee. But check this out. This is an interesting way to say, well, I don't know what he's saying here, but we'll look at a recent. This is from Pierre Poilievre from yesterday. Congratulations to common sense conservative candidates Colin Reynolds and Louis Lalente for boosting our vote share by 16% in Elmwood, Transcona, and 4% in LaSalle and Verdun. Devastating results for Trudeau, who voters deem not worth the cost after 9 years, taxes up, costs up, crimes up, and time's up. Fancy way to say you lost.
Also, not true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
La Salle-Ville Aymar Verdun. Oh, I guess he did increase. Sorry.
4%.
It is. Yes, he did increase the vote share. Okay. Yes. From 7.5% to 11.59%. In a province where all the polls are telling us they have 23% support.
Right. Well, and here from Peter Ratcliffe. Basically, Justin Trudeau has, over 10 years, delivered on over 90% of his promises and guided Canada through a pandemic safely. And we're bored with him. We say he's got to go because the opposition, media, and foreign influencers have told us so. We don't deserve him if he loses.
Mm-hmm. Now, that 90% number is debatable because there are two different sort of websites that are monitoring and tracking or whatnot.
It's still very high, but 90% is debatable. You are correct.
The one that we had been referred to from the get-go says about something like 48% of the promises have been fully delivered, and that there's been action on a bunch of other ones that does start putting it up at a high level, things that have been completed and started. And but yeah, as governments go, this one has been pretty good at following through. on things it said it's going to do overall. And I know that everybody's going to first point to, yeah, but he failed on electoral reform. I understand that. But that was one promise out of all of them.
Yes.
When you're calculating percentages, it's just one promise. All right. It might have been a big one for you. Yes. It might have been your principal one, main one, the reason why you voted for him. I understand this, but it's one promise. Okay. All right. Have a beeferific day, everyone.
I'll see you.